Okay, so turn three starts with a reshuffle of both decks, and as the cards come out, they're pretty well balanced. Red still has quite a few two-up cards with asterisks that they could get rid of. So they look at their hand and they're prioritising playing those cards. White, on the other hand, is in a slightly better position, and again they're on the offensive, so they're kind of looking to maintain that pressure on red. In the end, both sides end up committing some fairly high cards to the political phase. As it turns out, white gets a slight upper hand, being able to pick two cards to red's one, with a few random cards coming out. But once these are all counted up, there's not too much change in the faction control table. The Czech Legion moves slightly towards red, which is interesting. They've really rebelled against those that coup out in the east. What else is happening? I think Transcaucasian may have moved slightly towards white. Ukraine moving slightly towards white, which is important because they have Kiev in their hand. Now, as the action phase starts, white doesn't immediately attack Voronezh. They decide to consolidate their forces in the region. So they move one of their armies just to the south of Voronezh, moving a few corps around and putting pressure out on Saratov in the east as well. Now the Reds respond by bringing down some armies from Moscow, an army down from Moscow, and moving an army out along that rail link to the east, linking Voronezh and Saratov. Further to the up in the northeast, the Siberian forces under Kolchak capture Perm and then continue to drive to the west, pushing that Russian army out west along the railroad. Both sides really are fairly passive this turn. The whites are really trying to get some of the weaker events out of their hand. They do play Kiev, they play support of the republics, and they play improved training to push their reinforcement track all the way to the right. So their reinforcements will come on at full strength. And red kept the plan. They played Workers Unite, Socialist Revolutionaries, switch sides, which removes three of those two-up cards from their deck. And they also play their first improved training cards, which pushes them up one on the track. So it was a relatively quiet turn compared to turn two, but certainly the whites still keeping pressure on the reds, pushing the upper hand, and now very close to linking up their forces. There are only basically two spaces separating the whites in the southwest spaces of the east region, with the whites kind of in the center of the east region. They could kind of bring their forces together by capturing those two spaces, but they really want to capture Saratov, where Stalin is sitting at the moment. Now whites, as I said, also played Kiev, which shifts Ukraine over to their control. That happened midway through the turn, but there still is no Central Powers withdrawal at the end of this turn. So we're now heading into the fourth turn with the Central Powers still occupying those spaces and uncontrolled by either side.